everyone, this is Lucy from the Seaside Tarot channel, and I thought I'd do a response to Candy's Soul and Soil tarot channel. And 4 weeks ago she put out a video about what deck she would put on her cabinet, put it in her curiosity cabinet. So I thought, oh, I'll watch a few of those. I haven't watched everyone's yet, but I've watched a few, and so as not to select decks that have already been shown, I've gone back through some of my vintage decks and some decks that are new but haven't been shown yet. So the first one I wanted to show everybody is the Tarot of Eden by Alika Lindberg and Maud Kristen. I have an English edition. There is a French edition that's more readily available, but the English edition came out in first printing 2005 by AGM Muller, Urania, Switzerland. So I'll show you some of the cards. It's in one of those VHS boxes. Not good. They break. So there's the Fool, the Magician. I don't use this deck for readings, and I haven't got it out recently, but I do look at it occasionally. So the Empress is in Dutch and French and English. On each of the cards is the French, the Dutch and the English. So there's the Emperor. The Pope. They're big cards. They're big cards. But look at the Devil. That's a strange looking devil. So that's the first deck. There's the backs. A naked man and a naked female. So it's quite diverse, this deck. And it's a pip deck, so that's probably why I don't use it very often. And each of the minors are in the colour of their element. So the ones are yellow, the cups are blue, and the pentacles are purple. So that's the Tarot of Eden. That's my first entry. The next one is the Olanda Tarot by AGM, printed by AGM, and it's created by Hans Arnold. So I think this is a Swedish inspired deck, which is why I got it. I like to collect a deck from each of the countries I've been to in my lifetime. So this is in English, Dutch, French and Spanish. So isn't that a lovely style? Now a lot of people, when this came out, cut the purple borders off. There's the backs. That's weird. Anyway, so this is my Scandinavian deck. Does it say? High Priestess. So this is a curious deck. Oh, and I've got a Finnish deck I should have got out. That's a very curious deck. I didn't get that one out. The Lovers, Justice, Hermit, Wheel of Fortune, Tower, Moon, Sun, Judgment. This is where it gets a bit strange. Three of Wands. 4. So it's a bit pippish, and the scenes don't really depict right away either. So it sort of has its own little way about it. There's a Catwoman for Page of Wands. Knight in his chariot. Queen with her big pussy cats. Look at the frog and the bats. Yes, this is definitely a strange deck. The King, Cups. Now, why does the 4 of Cups have a baby inside? Is it she's waiting for it to be born? There's no upside down cup, so in a way it follows right away, and in a way it doesn't. So that's the 6 of Cups. Very strange, very strange, very strange deck. So that's the Olanda Tarot. Oops. Just put it back in order there. That's the Olanda Tarot. And next is a tarot I got from last year. This was a Kickstarter that I backed. Look at that, isn't that pretty? I love the colours of this deck. I have shown this deck in another VR to Marsha, but this is about ghosts and ghouls from Japan. So I used this last Halloween, and I'll probably use it again this Halloween. There's the Fool. Looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost, doesn't it? The Magician. And even though the images are a bit odd, it actually read quite well. There's the 10 of Wands with a ghost. Page, Knight. Look at the Queen, she's a Hag of Wands. Yes, so this is in the King of Wands. This is definitely a different version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. It can't be classed as a current clone. Look at that. She's got a mouth in the back of her head with something in it. Very odd. So I'd put this in my curiosity cupboard or cabinet. Look at the Queen of Swords. Oh, wouldn't want to tangle with her. 4 of Swords. Look at all the heads on the trees. So I think there's a legend behind some of these images as well. So that's the oops, I don't know if you can see that. That's the Yokai Yoshi Tarot by Burbo Clark. So again, that's the Yokai Yoshi Tarot by Burbo Clark. I'm not sure if he's going to do another printing of this deck, but you probably can pick it up on eBay. Another one that I thought that I've got recently from Kickstarter. Not sure if anyone's shown this one. And I did a month study with this deck. Oops, that's not good. Did a month study with this deck, and that's the Lillie Tarot, which is a unique deck of 80 cards honouring the esoteric roots of tarot, hand-painted watercolours. Lillie comes with a booklet filled with traditional card meanings and magical correspondences to help you connect with your innate knowledge and intuitive nature. So I worked through March with this deck, and I wouldn't recommend it to beginners. You have to learn the zodiac symbols and also the elements. You also have to study the colours, the meaning of the colours in the cards as well. Nine of Coins. Temperance. So you need your little white book when you work with this deck to get the full meaning of what the creator's trying to convey in each of the depictions. So for instance, the color will mean something. I think that's Taurus or Aries. Aries will mean something. It's a masculine card, and it has an element. So this is Cancer, and it had emotional. The blue means an emotional meaning. Has the moon in there. Not sure what that means. Yeah, so that's the little, underneath it's got the little darkness, but that's the Lillie Tarot by Mayan Kostanin. Excuse my Australian accent, and I didn't grow up with languages down here, down under, too much. Might be different now, but not when I was young. I did learn French a little bit, but that was all. And Indonesian and Japanese, a little bit of Japanese. All right, so the next one is the Strange and Curiously Foolishly Queenly Poetry Tarot. Now, what inspired me to buy this was with each card, I was learning tarot, and with each card, it has a poem. It has a poem. And the poem was quite interesting. So, Journey of the Fool through Poetry. And I see if there's a small one. They're quite long poems. There was a small one here. So if we get the tower out, so the Fool is the little unicorn. So down here, and there he is hanging. Hermit, Fool, Hierophant, The High Priestess. Tower. See the little unicorns falling out of the tower? Or little fawns. When the fool saw the tower, alas and alack, she almost had a heart attack. We know not what this looks like, the angel said. It looks like you'll crash to the rocks and be dead. You'll think that the fire will burn you to ashes, or lightning will cook you with one of its flashes. We know what it looks like, but trust us on this. In spite of all that, a good card it is. For allow the dissembling and the horror. For if you allow the dissembling and horror, a beautiful rainbow awaits you tomorrow. That's not the right spelling, said Fool with a grin. The angels knew then it was time to begin. Isn't that lovely? The poetry, I wrote to the creator and said, do you think you could do a whole 78 cards? And she wrote back and said no. So it's by Kate Fensom, and I think you can buy this on Etsy. I think she's still selling it on Etsy, but I bought this back in 2018, I think. So that's the Strange and Curious, Foolishly Queenly Poetry Tarot by Kate Fensom. So it's www.katefensom.com. So that's that one. I'll just pop that over there. Next one. This is a very curious deck. This is by Penelope Klein, who's done a few other decks like the Pen Tarot and there's the Liminal Tarot. This is the Subliminal Tarot. And it came in this beautiful paper, hand crafted. I'm not sure what number it is. And she did reprint it recently. So it was for sale last year. I'm not sure about this year. So this is Penelope Klein. And I got number 42 of 150 by Pen. And it's a result of artistic subconscious by seeking images within randomly created ink marks and splashes, and of developing those images with the tarot archetypes and meanings in mind. Inevitably, other strange and unimaginable creatures appear and were welcome, for how could I ignore them? They will almost certainly suggest different things to different readers. Whether or not it was William Blake who advised looking for artistic vision in the peeling of paint on the old wall, he did see very real images or visions throughout his life, including an oak tree in a Peckham rye filled with angels, bright angelic wings, bespanning every bough like stars. These are my visions. Happy tarot reading, Penelope Klein. So I'll just flick through these quickly. The Puppet Master. See, if you look closely, you can see lots of. You can see a little dragon, another little dragon, a little teddy bear, an elephant or a bear possibly, a rabbit. Lots of things can be seen in these cards. The Empress, and the colours mean a lot as well. The Sibyl. the Emperor, the Shaman, Love, the Chariot, see the horse? And there's horses all up here as well, and there's a man. So if you look deeply enough, you can see lots of things that Pen was trying to convey with her vision. A lion, little mice, a fish. You could stare at them for ages. And there's the hermit there with his light. The wheel, justice, the hanged one, death, temperance, devil, demon. There's the tower, star, sun. So this is a very curious deck, and this goes on my curiosity shelf. Very curious. You can stare at it for ages. So that's that one. Next, I'll show the fantastic menagerie. So how can you not get more curious than these figures by Karen Mahoney Grenville, by images by J.J. Granville. So I think this is the second edition that I've got. This is the second edition. So again, if you need to look closely at what's inside the cards. A fish head. So this is a very curious deck, but I think a lot of us have got this deck, so I won't spend too much time on it. But it's one that you could spend a while just looking at each of the images depicted in the deck. So that's the Fantastic Menagerie. This was the version that came out in 2020 by Karen Mahoney and Alex Ukoloff. Next, I'll thought I'd get this Zoltan Tarot, the Mayan Tarot deck. This particular copy is the original 1976 version, and it's a very strange deck, particularly for people down under who have no knowledge of the Mayan culture. But I was lucky enough to visit some of the Mayan sites when I was in Central America a few years ago. But this is a curious deck. So I'm sure I haven't used it, I've just bought it to use, but I haven't got around to using it yet. Now this I think you can still buy, even though it was first printed in 1976. I think you can get a more recent version of the Mayan Tarot. But again, I bought it because of a souvenir. It's my souvenir of being in this country, or in this region. I have a lot of decks that I've used as souvenirs. Instead of buying the souvenirs, I have a tarot deck that represents the country I've been to. So you got to know. So that's the three. I think that's 3 of Wands. So you got to know your Mayan numbering. So that's a very curious deck. One for further study. I have yet to do. So next, I thought I'd show you the Lazy Crow. Not sure if this has been shown in this particular tag, but I like this deck. It's very simple, very easy to use. This is the Fool. It follows the Rider-Waite pretty much, and it's very diverse in body image and colouring. There's me with red hair by the lion. So this is the Lazy Crow. By Nicholas Cargo, or Cargoe. It unlocks the secrets of your subconscious mind. Learn what future holds. Make contact with spiritual realm. Cast spells or something. Definitely marvel in the pretty art. Laughing at a drawing of kids fighting with sticks. All of these options and more are open to you. Made possible only through the support and numerous artsy weirdos. So yes, it is a weird deck. It is a curious deck, but it's easy deck to use. Much easier than the Mayan Tarot or the Lillie Tarot. So that is the Lazy Crow. That is the Lazy Crow. So next is a deck that I received in 2018. It's a deck I received in 2018, and it is a strange deck. One I'm not sure if I have used this. This is the Slow Holler. I like the guidebook better than I like the deck. The guidebook's very good. Just 2 pages of explaining the deck. The deck is a collaborative deck with many artists. It's no longer in print. It came with a cloth, not a box. And so this is, I have used it, but it doesn't look like it, does it? So it's a strange deck. 4 vessels. Follows the Rider-Waite in a curious way. In a very curious way. So each of the collaborators had their own way of doing things, but they were only allowed to use the tones of black, gold, red and white, which made the deck more cohesive. And you have stones for pentacles, knives for swords, vessels for cups. Excuse me, my dog wants to come in. So yes, it's a very curious deck. Look at his hair all over his body. And he's looking at his sword, looking back at him. Student of Knives. And branches for wands. 4 of branches. The foxes. Very odd deck. This is a very odd deck. But it is a brilliant hermit. One of the best hermits, I think. Sitting in his cave with his light. With a traveller of stones. Someone had a very vivid imagination. The traveller, I think, are the knights. Students are the pages. It's a nice world too. Odd deck. This is not your typical Rider-Waite, even though it does follow the Rider-Waite. 9 of Vessels. So you need the guidebook. You couldn't be a beginner using this deck or you'd get totally lost. I think the visionary is either the Queen or the King. Architects are the Queen. Traveller of Stones. Student of Stones. Traveller of Stones is the Traveller is the Knight. Architect is the Queen. And the Visionary be the King. Yeah, so this is the King of Cups. In his bath. Look at his big feet. Odd deck. Odd deck. So that's the slow holler. Now why would she have scissors cutting her hair? I can see why they're entwined, but why would she be cutting it? You'd have to look up the guidebook. 9 of Knives. Now that'd give you a headache, wouldn't it? This deck is much sought after and I have no idea why. I have no idea why, except the guidebook is very good. If anybody wants me to read from it, let me know. And I'll just pop that away. So next, and I think this is number 10. I think this is number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is the strangest deck I've ever bought. It was a Kickstarter in 2018. Took ages for it to be completed. And it was created by Ian Miller. Now Ian Miller also did a lot of animation for the Lord of the Tolkien story, Lord of the Rings. He did all the animation for orcs and other creepy crawly things that were shown in that movie, and you can understand why when you see some of the images. Some of them are ghoulish and weird, and some of them are quite beautiful. There's the backs. So this is the Grim Torok, I should say, Grim Torok by Ian Miller. The Tower. So this is where it gets really weird. This is fish are the cups. Fish are the cups. That's the Ace of Fish and the 10. You can see how the Lord of the Rings, the images he did for the Lord of the Rings influenced this deck. There's the Empress. Now that's lovely. And that's what I saw when I was packing this deck. I didn't see all the other cards. If I had, I probably would not have backed it. But hey, it's in my collection now. Hermit under the tree. Windmill. Strength. Judgment. There's 2 judgments you can choose. The World. See, where's my pen? Lost my pen. See the Orc with the castle. And there was 2 worlds to choose from. You can see how his creations for the Lord of the Rings impacted on his choices for the images in the tarot. Oh, the Star. Now, if you did this in a reading for someone, I think they'd run out screaming. This is quite a curious deck. But it does have some really pretty images as well. There's the Lovers. There's 2 Justice. Priestess, Magician, and there were 2 Fools to choose from. The Dark Lord, the Emperor, and there's Temperance, Death, Hangman. And I like Strength. It's a dragon. It's a good dragon. Now, Ace of Chaos was the swords. There was 2 V's. This is not a deck for beginners, and I would say this goes in the curiosity cupboard or cabinet and stays. It only comes out occasionally, not very often. Knight of Chaos. Page, Knave, Page of Chaos, Knight of Chaos, Queen of Chaos, King of Chaos. And then you come into the cups. Now the castles are the wands. This is all cups. Now why would that be the 9 of cups? So you'd have to have your own meanings with these cards. There's the Knave of Fish, Knight of Fish, Queen of Fish. Now she's a curious little creature, isn't she? King of Fish, and the Citadels. The Citadels or the castles are wands. very vivid imagination, does even Nilla have. I never bought the art book that went with it, but I regret that now. The Knight of Citadels, the Queen, the King, and the trees are the Pentacles. This does not follow Rider-Waite-Smith, and it doesn't have a guidebook, so you'd have to make up your own meanings for the Queen of Trees, the Knight of Trees, and the Knave of Trees, and the King of Trees. So that's my final curiosity deck, or curious deck that I have in my cabinet. So we have the Grim Torok, the Slow Holler, the Mayan Tarot or the Zoltan Tarot, the Lazy Crow, the Lillie the Fantastic Menagerie with J.J. Granville's images, and the Subliminal Tarot by Penelope Klein, the Strange and Curious Foolishly Queenly Poetry Tarot, and the Yokai Yoshi Tarot, and the Olanda Tarot, and finally the Tarot of Eden. So they were my selections to show everyone. Thank you everyone. Blessings to all. Until next time, Lucy.